Hey, welcome. Today we are diving deep into money. But forget about complicated stock tips or get-rich-quick schemes for a second. We're talking about the simple, powerful habits that can seriously, truly transform your financial life. So let's get right into it.
Does this sound familiar? I mean, really familiar? Your salary hits the bank, you pay your bills, you live your life, and then poof. By the end of the month, you're just left scratching your head, wondering where it all went. It's such a common and stressful cycle. But what if the fix isn't about just earning more money, but about behaving differently with the money you already have? All right, so the very first step, the absolute bedrock of building any kind of wealth, is just knowing where your money is actually going. It's simple, right? You can't control what you don't measure. This is where the real journey to financial growth kicks off. Now, take a look at this. These are what I like to call the silent income eaters. You know what I'm talking about. Those subscriptions you completely forgot you had, that daily coffee that feels like a small treat, the late-night food orders. They feel so small in the moment, but as you can see, they quietly team up to drain a huge chunk of your income. And this is where the light bulb really goes on. A single coffee for, let's say, 150 rupees? It doesn't feel like a big deal at all. But when you actually track it, you realize that little habit is costing you 3,000 rupees every single month. That's the wake-up call. That's the moment you gain awareness and can start to take back control. So here's the really crucial point. This whole thing goes way deeper than just numbers on a spreadsheet. When you track your spending, what you're really doing is tracking your thinking patterns. Are you spending out of habit, out of emotion, or are you making conscious choices? And this brings us to a super powerful idea about how our brains handle money. Basically, our brains have two gears for making decisions. There's System 1, that's our fast, emotional, gut reaction mode. It's the voice screaming, "The stock is down 20%, sell everything now." But here's the secret. Wealthy people work hard to cultivate System 2 thinking. They force themselves to pause, to analyze the situation logically, and to make a deliberate, calm choice. It's a mental habit you can build for literally any financial decision. Okay, so once you have that awareness, what's next? The next stage is to build an engine. You need a system that works for you automatically so that your good financial habits don't have to rely on willpower, which, let's be honest, fails all of us from time to time. This right here, this is one of the biggest, most fundamental shifts you can possibly make. Most people live on the left side of this slide. They get paid, they spend their money, and they just kind of hope to save whatever's left over at the end of the month, which is usually nothing. The wealthy way completely flips this upside down. You get paid, and the very first bill you pay is to your future self. Saving and investing happens first. It's non-negotiable. And then you spend what's left. So how do you make this whole thing effortless? You build an automation engine, just like this. First, your salary arrives. Step 2, and this is the absolute key, a set amount of money is immediately and automatically sent to your investments. After that, your automated bills get paid. And step 4, whatever is left in your account is yours to spend totally and completely guilt-free. This system takes emotion and willpower right out of the equation. It just happens.
Okay, but when's the best time to actually build this engine? This is a question a lot of people get stuck on. They think, oh, I'll wait till I'm earning more, or I'll start when my life is more settled. But the data tells a very, very different story. There is a specific window of opportunity.
Your 20s and early 30s, that decade from 25 to 35, those are your golden years for investing. Think about it. During this time, you often have fewer major responsibilities. Your income potential is on the rise, and you have the single most valuable asset in the world on your side, time. This is the period to be aggressive, to double down on building your assets because every rupee you invest now is going to work the hardest for you over the long run. And finally, let's talk about the mindset. Because look, your habits and your systems are incredibly powerful, but they are all driven by a long-term philosophy. This is all about shifting your thinking from just surviving this month to building a life for decades to come. You know, this can be a tough pill to swallow, but it's probably one of the biggest financial traps out there. When you start spending money, not for the actual value it brings you, but for the validation you think it'll get from other people. You know, upgrading your phone just because there's a new one, buying expensive stuff to keep up. You're just on a treadmill that leads nowhere but financial stagnation.
This little story about veteran investor Ramesh Damani, who has a net worth in the hundreds of crores, just perfectly captures this mindset. The people who build real generational wealth often prioritize value over appearances. Their lifestyle doesn't just inflate wildly every time their income goes up, because their focus isn't on looking rich, it's on being financially free.
So how do you actually practice this? Here's a simple but incredibly powerful habit. Before you make any non-essential purchase, just ask yourself this one question. Will this matter in 5 years? That's it. Most of the time, the honest answer is no, and that simple little filter will automatically slash your impulsive, short-term spending.
See, thinking long-term is what lets you tap into the most powerful force in all of finance, compounding. Journalist Sonia Shenoy shared this great story about her very first monthly investment. For the first few years, the growth felt so slow, almost insignificant. But the real magic, that explosive, hockey stick growth you see on this chart, that only really kicks in after about the 5-year mark. But you have to have the patience to get there.
And what was the result of all that patience? Well, that consistent, boring investment of 20,000 rupees a month grew to over 80 lakhs in just 10 years. That's it. That is the tangible, life-changing power of starting early, being consistent, and just giving your money time to do its thing.
And ultimately, all of these habits lead to one final, really profound mental shift. Moving from a scarcity mindset, which is all about fear and limits, to an abundance mindset. Now, this isn't about ignoring risk. It's about seeing opportunities. It's about investing in yourself, and it's about truly understanding that wealth isn't just something that happens to you, it's something you can actively create.
So, we've looked at the foundation, we've looked at the engine, and we've talked about the mindset. What is the one big idea that ties this entire thing together? Well, it's this incredibly simple but powerful concept. Your money habits compound exactly like your investments do. A small, positive habit that you start today, like tracking your spending for 1 week, or automating just one small investment, it might not feel like a big deal right now, but done consistently, over time, these tiny little changes create massive, life-altering results. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most important question of all, because real change doesn't start with knowing something, it starts with something you do. So after everything we've talked about, what is the one small habit you are going to commit to starting today?